Hey there, super friends. Oh wow, usually I have like my car in gear and everything, and anyway, today is Wednesday, December 27th, 2017. If you want to connect with us on social media, you can friend up our Last Point Gaming Facebook account. You can follow us on Twitter at Last Point Gaming. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Stranger Sparrow, or you can always reach out directly with an email to lastpointgaming@gmail.com. And you can also subscribe to us on YouTube. I have to work that into my opening. I think Spreaker has an option that I can attach a pre-recorded bit to the front of every episode, which I might do with all of our social stuff, so it would announce that, and then I would go to, today is, I don't know. I have to look into what my options are there. Maybe I'll just stop announcing it. I mean, seriously, you found us somehow. So, Pauper. I kind of forgot all about this, where Pauper is going to start becoming a thing, possibly. Was it Channel Fireball announced that they're going to start running Pauper events at their GPs or something like that? I, of course, remembered because I watched the Versus video today. If you get a chance, go check it out. Todd Anderson, Ross Merriam, and they're playing Pauper. So, what are my thoughts on that? I've gotten to play Pauper once. The guild tried to run a Sunday Pauper thing for a while, and it really didn't catch on. So I guess the origin of Pauper is mostly MTGO. So there aren't very many real life avenues to play Pauper. And again, we tried. It didn't work out. It might be Sundays are just hard to get people in there because, like I said, we've had trouble getting the standard showdowns to fire. So, it might be just Sunday's a bad day. I think Pauper is now a legal FNM format. I'm not 100% sure there. I know, man, it was a year ago now, I guess, maybe a little bit longer, that they made the announcement at one of the Pro Tours, I don't remember which one, that they were expanding FNM formats. Because it used to be FNM was standard, period. So, I don't know if it is an FNM format or not, honestly. It'd be kind of cool if it was. So, one would think Pauper is a pretty cheap format to play. And right now, in paper, it definitely is. If it becomes a competitive thing, that may not stay true. So, I recommend you look up your Pauper list now and start buying up shit before it spikes, if it has not spiked already. I have, Canada actually made me a Pauper deck when the shop started trying to run the Pauper tournaments. It's not like a net list. It's just a really cute deck with an infinite combo in it. It's got Soul Sister. It's green-white. Joey likes this crap. That's just pretty much the theme of the deck. So it's got Soul Sisters and Soul Attendants, but it also has Midnight Guard, and I think the card is Presence of Gond. It's an enchant creature. I think it costs 3. And the goal is to put it on your Midnight Guard, because damn it. Midnight Guard, I think it's Midnight Guard. Something like that. It was a card from the original Innistrad block. It was a common, obviously. It was a 1-2 or maybe a 1-3 or something. I seem to recall he was a decent blocker. whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you untap him. So you put the Presence of Gond on him because that is tapped to make, I don't know, one Sporling, I think. Sapperling, something like that. It really didn't matter what you were making. Might have even been an elf. I don't know. I think it was a Sapperling, though. So the goal is to have a Soul Warden out, Midnight Guard, put Presence of Gond on him, and make infinite 01 Sapperling tokens and gain infinite life off your Soul Warden. I got to pull off the combo once, and that was kind of cool. But, again, I think I only got to play it 1, maybe 2 weeks. So getting to pull off the combo once in like 7 or anywhere from 3 to 8 rounds. Not too bad. It also had Squadron Hawks in the sideboard, which Squadron Hawk is great. He's so much better than Vicious Conquistador. Why? Well, 1, Squadron Hawks are only 2 CMC. It's 1 and a white. 2, they're 1/1 flyers. So, the flying. I mean, that's really it. That's why Squadron Hawk's so much better than Vicious Conquistador. I love Squadron Hawks. So yeah, it was just green-white silliness. All kinds of just janky stuff like that. It was really fun. But I do know let's see here, what can I remember playing against? There is a mono-blue Pauper control deck. There was a mono-green elf deck that was actually pretty good, because, like, Nettle Sentinel apparently is a common. What? There's, of course, a burn deck. Yeah, there's just all kinds of fun stuff. There's a Pauper Tron deck, because the Tron lands, I believe, originally were common. There's Pauper Affinity, which is more actual affinity than the modern Affinity deck that doesn't actually use any affinity cards. Let's see here. What else is there? There's just all kinds of super fun stuff in this format. Because when you're limited to only commons, like, yeah, there are some kind of busted commons. Like, you know, Soul Warden's one of my favorites. We were talking about it, and I think you could almost build a Pauper Zoo deck. Like the Burning Tree Emissary deck, because Burning Tree Emissary is common. Also, Evolving Wilds is common, because I was going to say you couldn't have the fetch lands, but you could have Evolving Wilds if you wanted to. Actually, I don't know if Hidden Herbalists are uncommon. They might be uncommons. But in any case, you can build all kinds of fun stuff. Just kind of stupid off-the-wall things. So, I'm kind of excited about this becoming a thing. But at the same time, again, as far as this is an affordable format to play. It is until it becomes competitive. Because that's really what drives card prices. Is, okay, competitive play, these are the top standing decks. Everything in them is going to cost more now, especially some of the older commons. Because, now there's a demand. Todd Anderson made a point during the Versus video today about why you see more Pauper online than you do in real life, in paper Magic, because some of these cards, good luck even finding somebody that has them in stock. Not because there's such a high demand for it, but because they're garbage cards. People sell them off in their bulk lots and stuff. especially if you're looking at your LGS. Like, I do remember when I was building Tron the first time, and I was trying to go super on the cheap. There's a card called Walking Atlas. It's from the original Zendikar block. I don't remember what set exactly. I don't even remember if it's common or an uncommon. But he's like 2 mana, and you can tap him to play an extra land. Because I was trying to figure out how to be able to turn 3 Ugin. Because that was why Karn's so much better than Ugin, right? Because you can turn 3, and the difference between turn 3 and turn 4 in Modern is such a big fucking deal, yo. I'm not a big fan of Karn. I'm mostly not a big fan of how much Karn costs. Yeah, when I ran Tron, I owned 0 Karns, so I played 0 Karns in the 75. There was my favorite time I got the win off the fact that I don't run any Karns because the guy preemptively pithing needled Karn, and whose car sounds like that? God, I hope it's not mine. Oh, it's that bus looking thing. Weird. Anyway. So yeah, I was trying to figure out how to accelerate being able to get Ugin down. I went into my LGS back when Dodger still worked there, and I asked him for this card, and he's like, what the hell even is that? Well, I'd written down what set it was, its rarity, because that's usually what I do when I take a list in, is I write down set, rarity, and everything to make it as easy as I can on them. And he's like, let me do some digging. He's like, why would anybody actually want this card? Like, what are you even building? So yeah, finding some of these obscure commons might take a little digging. You might have to order some things online. But it is definitely a fun, wacky format. Just because of the shit people come up with when you're stuck at only commons. Like, yeah, okay, there's power ranging commons, like Lightning Bolt's better than Shock. But, you know, there's nothing too super high-end in commons, you know? That's why they're commons. So yeah, I recommend checking out the Pauper format if you haven't already. Apparently there's a pretty big presence for it on MTG Online. I should really look into that, because that's got to be still pretty cheap to build, right? I don't know. But again, once they make it a competitive format, its affordability will likely change. But I think Pauper is going to be one of those formats that there aren't going to be 3 decks topping everything. Your range to work in is just so big that I think it's going to be a bigger field. I do wonder how it's going to affect some of the other formats, like, is Modern Elves going to get even more expensive now? Though people act like Modern Elves is not a tier 1 deck, and I don't understand. I totally feel like it is. Maybe at least tier 1.5. Like, I definitely think it's better than tier 2. And again, I think Merfolk is too. I don't know how we decide these things. But yeah, definitely check out Pauper. And that's kind of tying back into what I've been talking about this week. I think the Challenger decks, if they build them kind of Pauper-esque with a sprinkling of uncommons and rares, but focus on playsets of things, yeah, I'm going to keep harping on that, because I really think that's the biggest problem with all the pre-con products that have been available in the past, is the inconsistencies in trying to play the deck. I mean, for your commons, dude. If there's only 2 of or whatever, they're pretty cheap to fill out, but I mean, you're already dropping money on the deck. Taryn announced today, bringing up things that we want to see. If you go on Twitter and you look up Taryn Qualls, you should be able to find him. But Super Hinotama. If you go to my Twitter, either Twitter account, both my accounts follow him. You can find him. And go respond to his tweet on this. Or if you join the MTGO Traders Facebook group, he also has a post open in there. He's planning on doing a video on what people want to see from WotC in the year 2018. What improvements would you like to see? Go throw your 2 cents in there. I definitely did. First and foremost, though, I listed it as my last point in response to him because it's more for personal reasons than anything. I would like to see a 3x6 foot Dominaria mat featuring like classic Magic artwork. Just something real nice. That's because we need a 3x6 mat for the table downstairs, so we can start getting the recording space set up to actually start doing the YouTube videos. But I also, I have high hopes from these Challenger decks. I would like to see the card quality issue fixed. Oh, what was the other thing? I had like 4 points. Stop raising the prices of GPs while decreasing the swag. Now, I don't know how much control WotC actually has over that, so much as the tournament organizer, which now I guess is all Channel Fireball. I don't really like seeing WotC enter into a relationship like that, giving somebody sole dominion over the GPs. I'm sure there's a reason for it. And part of it could be to control some of the variance of experience. To standardize things a little bit more. Because, definitely based on which TO through a given GP, I'm sure there was variance in quality of experience. I'm sure there were some places that just didn't book enough space. I'm sure there were some TOs that tried to cut costs to maximize their profit on the event by cutting some corners. But, I think the climbing price for a GP with less things just kind of handed out. There's this big discussion going on Twitter right now about adding buys to GPs or taking them away or something like that. I guess there's a Team GP coming up in 2 weeks. I want to say it's GP Indy. And they announced kind of close to the event that they were going to be holding a tournament the Friday before the GP starts, or holding events to earn team buys, where only one of your teammates has to play to earn buys for your whole team. And people got kind of pissy about this, and I think rightfully so. The people that are traveling to this tournament, that it's one, if you were going to do this, you should have announced it when the tournament was announced, so people could make their travel plans accordingly if they wanted to go for that opportunity. Because I don't think your Planeswalker point buys apply in a team event. And there's been a discussion back and forth for a while now on what people's feelings are on earning the byes. Like, once you have so many Planeswalker points, you can earn, I think it's up to 3 byes for an event. It might be only 2 based on Planeswalker points, and then different pro club levels also get you byes, but I think you like max out in all bye earning potential at like 3. And it's how do we feel about that? Should this be a thing? Shouldn't it be a thing? And I've seen some of the pro players saying, well, they decreased appearance fees because, if you're not aware, pro level players at the different pro levels actually get paid to show up and play in events. Now, it varies from level to level. Like, I don't think at bronze level, you may not actually get paid at bronze level. But I think up until platinum level, it's not, it wouldn't be the thing that made you decide, oh, okay, I'll go to the event. Like, I don't even think it's enough to cover the cost of you going to the event, like travel fees and everything. Hotel stay and all that. So, I think it was last year they announced that they were, making some cuts to that program. So some of the pros are pointing out that this is one of the things that gets pros to these events. But I don't think you necessarily need to incentivize pro players in that way. Like, if you're like, well, I would go to this GP, but they're not going to pay me to, and they're not really going to give me any incentive aside from getting to go compete in the tournament. Like, I don't know. I'm not a pro player. Like, my livelihood does not depend on me grinding tournaments and everything. So I may not be the best person to talk about that. Like, my opinion may not be worth much, but I kind of feel like when you're a pro player, like, you've earned some respect in the community and everything, but at the same time, like, I don't understand why you need to incentivize. Like, does that, like, really get more people to show up at a GP? Or it's like, hey, John Finkel's playing. Well, okay, maybe John Finkel. By all accounts, anybody I've ever known that's met that man, I have not met him. He is just, like, a super nice, really great guy. But I mean, aside from people like me, that it's like, I'm going to try to get to an invitational, because then they just pack all the Star City people I love into one freaking tournament. I can just go meet them all. Yay! Does it really incentivize more players to go to a GP knowing that these pros are there? Or does it actually de-incentivize people? Is that a word? I don't think that is. Does it, kind of turn people off? Like, I'm going to have to drive 4 hours. It's going to take, like, 3 tanks of gas between driving there, driving back, and all the driving around I'm going to have to do there. Plus, I'm going to have to drop, $500 on a hotel room. Maybe not that much, because I guess most players split hotel. But they're like, okay, it's going to cost me $200 all told for my hotel stay, even splitting a room with my buddies. Plus, if there's no, like, kitchenette facility in the hotel room, then, we're grabbing food out all the time. Like, it's going to cost me $500 to go to this event, and I'm just going to get mashed by, the parade of pros there. So I'm not sure as far as, it's an incentive for pros to show up at these events. I would think the fact that your career is playing Magic is the incentive to show up to these events. What are you doing? You don't have a turn signal, but you're in the turning lane. I'm confused. Oh, shit. God damn it. Okay. I, really need to get a new fucking dash mount. This is pissing me off now. Alright, equalizer's still going. I'm not going to try to wedge it back up there because I'm almost home anyway. But yeah, like, if we remove that from the equation, how do people feel about buys? I mean, I'm not personally against them, honestly, because it's like, well, then you get 3 automatic wins, but you had to earn them. You had to earn them by grinding out events, and amassing that many Planeswalker points really isn't easy. Because, like, yeah, it's actually a higher bar to earn your buy for the season at GPs than it is to get in the Nationals. I've never earned a buy, but I earned a slot in Nationals last year. But yeah, it's not actually easy to earn that many points. You got to grind a lot of events or do well, like really well, at a couple big events. So as far as, well, you know, they're free wins, I mean, yeah, but they are marked down as wins. So when you get paired for round 4, you're paired against somebody who's 3-0. Unless some poor soul has the misfortune of being paired up into you. But, you know, you're paired against somebody with that win record, so if, you know, you're not on top of your game, you're going to be knocked out pretty fast. Because, like, X3 doesn't get you in the top 8 at any, like, significantly large event. I know, like, the Star City events, the cutoff to make day 2 is X3. I guess that's, 6 and 3? Because I think they do 9 rounds day 1. I remember that first open I went to, and, like, after I got my first 2 losses, I'm like, alright, keep going. And, yeah, I was chatting with my one buddy, and just kind of a random bystander was like, well, I mean, if you're 3 losses in, even if you make day 2, I mean, unless you're local, I wouldn't bother making the drive back down. You're not going to top 8 with that record. Like, even if you win out from there, you go ahead. You're not going to top 8. It's unlikely you're even going to cash. Like, you're going to have to win out to cash at all. And at the lower end, is it really worth driving back down? Now, Baltimore, it's not that far from me. It's about a 2-hour drive. So I don't know, I'd have to do some math there to figure out if I thought that was worthwhile, but you know, it's a pretty good point that those 3 buys aren't going to qualify you for top 8. And again, they don't just hand them out. It's not like, oh, you played in every F&M this year, you get buys. No, you have to earn them. So, I don't know. I think this is where I'm wrapping up my week. Again, if I have a chance to, like, if I go on a coffee run or something later this week, I'll try to do another episode, but this may be it for the week. Hit me up. Let me know about, you know, how you feel about things that I'm talking about, things that I'm saying. I would love some participation in this. But as always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening. And if not before, I'll talk to you all next week.